What's up, guys? I genuinely do hope that you are doing well, okay? I hope that every day when I come up on here, tell you what, I got a story for you. Well, we'll see what the story actually is, but the testimony is that God delivered me from depression. Man, my teeth are looking white today. Oh. Once I called attention to it, all of a sudden they turned yellow. Isn't that crazy? The way our mind like plays tricks on us. Ooh! Hey, I have a genuine question for you guys while we're on this subject. If you have abundant financial means, how do you feel about getting new teeth? AKA, I think it's called veneers. Or I don't know how you pronounce that. But you know, getting your teeth glossed with white pearly stuff and filled in with a little shape action. What y'all think about that? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being that's the most shallow thing ever, and it's playing God. 10 being, hey, invest in yourself if you can afford it. Man, first impressions are everything, and you know, it's gonna pay itself off, and if it makes you feel good, then go for it. 5 being, you know, in the middle. What do y'all think? Drop a comment. Like, subscribe. Okay, God healed me from depression. He delivered me. So, I've shared before, growing up, success. That's what I'm going for, right? Just a lovely little horn tap. I'm not an angry horn user, just a friendly, courteous comrade on the road, okay? Just a lovely little gentle tap to let people know it's time to go. All right. Success, that's what I'm living for. I'm kind of crushing it enough for me to feel good about it and keep setting bigger dreams and goals. My sophomore year of high school, my freshman year of high school, it starts to get hard. Pretty hard, you know? Just school was like hard, like difficult in terms of my brain power. Like I actually feel like it's hard to learn this, not just it's taking time, but like it's stretching, like my brain is sore sometimes. But especially just time capacity wise, from hours in school to hours in extracurriculars to hours studying, it was like the least sleep I've ever gotten in my life. And then spring of freshman year, I joined football, which meant working out twice a day. But then in the fall sophomore year, it really kicked in, and it's morning workout and then it's afternoon practice. Practice is effectively 3 hours. By the time you're out of there, you know, practice itself was probably 2 hours, but you got to change, then practice starts, and then you got to shower and stuff because you sweating like some drippy dogs out there, be sweating. And then you go home and you pooped all over yourself. I mean, so much going on, and you're tired, right? Because it's hot. And then you got multiple hours of homework, like 3 to 5 most of the time. And then like you're trying to have friends, right? But then you got other extracurriculars. I'm still in Boy Scouts, you know, I'm doing my Eagle Project. I've got other community service hours. Started learning an instrument, trying to do social life. You know, there's a lot. It's a lot. And so mentally, it was weighing on me big time. And I started asking bigger questions. I know now that I'm at Enneagram 1. I didn't know about the Enneagram. I don't think anyone did back then. But that means I'm purpose-driven. I'm a perfectionist, not just in effort, but like in values and ideals. And so I'm saying, what's the point? Why am I doing all this really hard stuff? Because it's so hard. Why am I doing it? And I couldn't get a good answer. And I was asking some people even, you know, I'm trying to find the answer. Like, just convince me that this is worth it. And this became more than just the way I'm currently living life. This became life itself. Why is it worth it? Why try at anything? And I couldn't find an answer, and I was getting more and more depressed as a result. And with my dwindling sleep, my dwindling motivation, you know, my success is taking a hit too. I start getting some worse grades in some assignments and some classes. You know, I probably threw out a couple C's. I think I hit a C in pre-AP Algebra 2 and for a quarter, and a C in a pre-AP Algebra, or pre-AP English. And that's, you know, those are the first C's on a quarter. I mean, I wouldn't get a C on an assignment. My freshman year, I was ranked number 7 or something like that, which is big ballin' for this dude. And as I'm not doing well, it's affecting me even more, and it's spiraling, and you know, it's like it got to the point where the relief for me was like joking about suicide. It's like, well, you know, at least I could kill myself, and it was a joke, just a dark humor, sarcastic kind of reality. But I said remarks about committing suicide at least every day, if not multiple. I mean, probably more like 5, maybe 3 times a day, where I'm literally joking about it, and to the point where now I'm sending signals on school assignments. Like, if I had a short essay in my English class, for example, like, I am writing a not quite a suicide note, but like a very depressing essay, and making it just as abundantly clear as possible that I'm on the brink, and my care was going way down. It's like just demotivating. The head of school at the time, I still remember her face. One time I was just in between classes and passed her by, and she looked at me and just shook her head, like with this disappointment too, just like this, why, what happened to you, what's wrong with you? You know, my older brother, such a star in so many ways, and my mom was working for my high school now at this point, and she's a star, super mom, and it's kind of like I've become the fallen child, and I'm just joking about death and underperforming, and my attitude is bad. Like, I'm just rubbing, you know, but I'm trying to figure out what's the meaning of life, right? And life is so hard, and I'm not getting an answer, and the best meaning I could find through all my questioning was, well, if you work really hard now, then you can get into a good college. I'm like, okay, great. Why? It's like, well, then you can work really hard to get a good job. I'm like, okay, and then what? Well, it's like, well, then you'll work really hard because good jobs make you do that, but then you'll get paid a lot. And growing up, that was the dream, right? Was, let's make a lot of money. But this other thing started happening in my high school, which was just seeing a super surplus of wealth. And a lot of kids were at my school. You know, I didn't call them kids at the time because I was their age, actually younger. A lot of amazing people, but also definitely some examples of kind of your classic spoiled, rotten, you know, rotten. No one's really rotten. But seeing some of the dangers of wealth that put me off towards my own thoughts of becoming wealthy one day. And I started fantasizing about, what if I was homeless one day? How epic would that be? literally, you know, and getting excited about that. And so anyways, all that to say, my motivation just tanked, because now money wasn't motivating. It didn't feel motivating. I'm asking, what's the purpose of life? What's the purpose of doing all this work? And I'm not getting anywhere. And I'm just becoming more and more depressed, more and more, you know, those jokes about suicide became ideations of suicide and plans of suicide. Not quite like a super well formulated plan, but that's kind of where I'm at. And it was to the point where, like, man, my alarm would go off in the morning and I would just like stare at the ceiling with the alarm just blaring right in my ear, this annoying meh, meh. And I'm immediately having an internal dialogue in my head about why, like trying to persuade myself that it's worth it to just pick up my arm and turn off the clock. And I couldn't do it. I was like, just, what's the point of going another day? Like, I don't get it. And, you know, I'm just despising myself as an Enneagram 1 would when they're tanking and underperforming their expectations of themselves, and it's getting super bad. And one night, basically I find myself crying on the floor of my bedroom because for the first time, suicide became like an imminent reality. That it wasn't just a joke, and it wasn't just a fear, it wasn't just it was last resort. It was like, this, it is reality to me. This will happen. I'm probably not going to see my 20s. I definitely will not see my 30s. And it's like, I just knew that was true. And it made me cry because in my Christianness and my upbringing, I knew that suicide was a sin. But in my depression, I felt very, not holy, but like, I'm trying to seek answers and I can't find it, you know? Like, I'm not necessarily emotionally depressed. I feel rationally depressed. Like, what's the point of life? I shared a little bit about this in my first video, about the verse that God gave me that helped me see that ultimately the point of life is living for Him. And anyways, the testimony of this video is He really did free me from depression. Like, I'm not parked in this spot at all. Oh, yes I am! Oh, shoot. He just filled me with joy. And the way I explained it back then was like, my expectations for what life could provide were up here. And then every day I'm just getting disappointed. And it was just, and that led me to start asking these questions of what's the point of life? What's the point of life? And I'm thinking about all these different things, not just money, but what about relationships? What about family? What about, you know, legacy and kind of impact? And what about mentoring others? And I'm going down all these rabbit trails and projecting them in my mind, and I could just feel the emptiness, the lack of fulfillment. And I'm like, I don't need to live 40 years for this thing to find out that it's empty. I know it is. I can feel it. And so I just got super depressed. Like, there is no points. Like, there's nothing to live for. And I wasn't like, oh no, woe is me, I don't have any friends. Like, I knew people were gonna miss me, but I'm like, that's not a good reason to stay alive. I'm like, I'm sorry, like, I gotta get out of this place, you know? And so I'm crying, I'm reaching out to God. He gives me this verse, 1 John 2, 19. But man, He set me free. Like, it's like in a day, all those expectations went to nothing. And like what I thought life would give me, what I expected to get out of life in terms of joy, fun, fulfillment, purpose, was like nothing. And that allowed me to appreciate the, like, well, at least this was actually kind of nice. Yeah, the sun, it was cool, you know? You know, and so, like, sports was feeling so empty. And then all of a sudden it's like, man, at least I like get to play sports. That's enjoyable. But it wasn't like, at least I get to do that, like, there's nothing else, but at least I have this. It wasn't a Band-Aid anymore, because there wasn't a wound anymore, because the purpose was now live for God, live for eternity, live for heaven. Like, it's not all about this life. It's not even about the afterlife of what goes on earth because of your life. Like, it's all going to nothing, or it's going to eternity before God, you know? And I'm like, man, let me just live for that, and everything else is a bonus. Like, if I get to have fun, awesome. If I get to laugh today, great. But I'm not trying to get a laugh out of today. I'm not trying to get fun out of today. But if it happens, it happens. But it's not driving me. I'm not looking for it, you know? And that mentality shift just delivered me. I mean, God delivered me, you know, obviously. But it was like, all of a sudden, I'm joyful, I'm laughing, I'm smiling. You know, some of the resilience and the overcoming that I've shared it's tied to joy, you know, not just like gritting my teeth and enduring through it, but man, let's try. Even my risk appetite is tied to joy. It's like, I have nothing to lose. Like, it's almost like I've already died. It's like I've already tasted death, and like everything else, it's all just icing now, you know? Like, I'm about to make it to 30. I got a year and a half to go. I'm gonna make it, guys, you know? And I'm not disappointed in the world, because I stopped putting my eggs in that basket, you know? And so it just makes the world rich. I can thank God for the awesome things He created, because I'm also at peace with the reality that He's created me for so much more. And He's created you for so much more too. So anyways, I'm thankful for God's deliverance. I'm so thankful that I don't struggle with depressing thoughts anymore, or ideations of suicide. It is, I can feel, especially like is it postpartum if it's paternal? Like, I've experienced some level of like paternal depression, just related to how much of my life is no longer in my control, and the impossibility of providing everything that the hearts of my kids and spouse need from me, because the reality is they need them from God, and I'm the supplement. But being a dad, I want to be everything, you know? Like, that's a depressing reality. And so it's not like I haven't felt what depression can feel like-ish, but I mean, nothing like sophomore year of high school. And even what I feel now in terms of discouragement, it's like, it's discouragement. It's not depression, you know? And it lifts, and it just doesn't take me over like it used to. So anyways, wanted to share that with you guys today. I gotta jump into a meeting, then I'm late. Sorry, Parker and Mason, for running late. See you in a sec. All right, talk to y'all soon. Life is worship. God is love.